Thank you for joining us for this edition of David's Question of the Week, presented by NM Fiber Network. As New Mexico's statewide middle mile backbone, we're committed to keeping you informed about the technologies, opportunities, and challenges shaping connectivity. Here's this week's question.
Leaco Rural Telephone has been around since 1954. We're a small community-centric cooperative that banded together, much like hundreds of cooperatives around the nation did when the REA Act came out, the Rural Electrification of America, to put copper lines down to get that type of access that existed in bigger cities to smaller cities. That's it in a nutshell. Fast forward 7 decades later, we're still here and our mission is still the same. The challenge, though, has always been is how do we maintain that same value, that same service, that same timeless and very much needed critical infrastructure in communities where you're just not going to get that return on investment. Some of those were answered through USF, through regulatory stuff that a bunch of cooperatives rely on. But the truth of the matter is, due to all the changes that are coming down the line in the way that our funding mechanisms are organized, so for cooperatives to continue to provide this critical service in rural America, that's not going to be there forever. Enter New Mexico Fiber Network. NMFM's middle mile is, in my opinion, is the vehicle that's much needed in New Mexico for us to be able to continue to succeed, continue with the mission, and continue providing the much needed services and infrastructure and communication for hospitals, for schools, for municipalities, for first responders, for reliability, for disaster recovery. New Mexico is not immune to things like fires, to things like mudslides, to things like natural disasters, 1,000-year floods that have happened just these last 2 years, 3 or 4 years as well, post-pandemic in New Mexico. We're not immune to that. And no tier 1 provider will ever be able to provide the redundancy into rural America without the rural cooperatives that are in place today. And the rural cooperatives that are in place today in New Mexico, which is what we're speaking to today, without New Mexico Fiber Network as a vehicle to continue to allow us to be prosperous and provide those services, that's the importance that NMFM brings to cooperatives like Leaco.
Connection fuels opportunity, and at NM Fiber Network, we're building the backbone that makes that possible. Thanks for joining us for David's Question of the Week. Till next time, stay connected, stay curious, and for more information, go now to nmfibernetwork.com.